Cool.
Okay, I'm going to. We're fine. You went through the stuff, the series of
Yeah.
questions, the long thesis
Yep.
I sent you.
Yep. Totally.
ठीक है जी. So let's start. I'm gonna just do my intro here. Assalamualaikum guys, this is Ali. We don't have Rizwan, we don't have Sarkhail on the episode, but we do have a very special guest. This is episode 64. It's very hard to keep track.
64.
It's 64, and we have Zeeshan Parwez with us. We've bamboozled him into coming on on the podcast. I don't know if he's seen an episode. Zeeshan, have you ever seen a single episode?
Absolutely, I have. I have
Oh
quite a
no.
bit. With Umer as well, and
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
So very good. I was well, those are good episodes to watch. So thank you very much
No,
for coming on the show.
great stuff, man. Great stuff that you guys are doing.
As you might have noticed, our friend
Yeah,
Nader Shahzad is a huge fan
I'm a big
of.
fan of his, man. I'm a big fan of his, and so
I'm
kind.
I'm sure he'll be very happy to hear this. And he actually told me, and it's very lucky that I know him. He told me that apparently he has been teaching in the past as well, media sciences and is tarah ki cheezein, because he's interested in film and direction himself. And he said he had like at least a class, if not a whole course, on Zeeshan Parvez. तो मैंने कहा मुझे सब दे दो
Wow,
मुझे मुझे सब दे दो.
यार.
Yeah. Has anyone ever confronted you with this? I'm teaching a course on you before.
यार बस if anything मुझे रुलाएगा पगले क्या कर रहे हो मुझे यार emotional करवाओगे seriously I'm feeling special यार thank you so much I did not know about that he told me once that he gave a class about my work I said मेरे काम के बारे में I was like he was like yes I did
Yeah.
not know कि course so wow this is
It's
I'm super so super kind of him
a thing that is usually good to get a conversation like this started is we ask the person who's here, how do you, in a short elevator pitch format, how would you describe yourself as who you are right now in terms of your career?
Yeah, I can't describe myself at all because, to be honest, I'm always in a constant fight within myself. कि exactly मैं क्या करने जा रहा हूँ? What am I doing? What do I want to do? And there's so many things. The unfortunate thing about actually having your hands in different things is you are constantly in the pursuit of just creating different types of things as you go as an artist. So it's pretty much difficult for me to even point out yaar, exactly what am I, what do I want to be, to be honest. I'm not trying to sound very, I hope I don't sound very woke yaar, ki, kya, holier than thou, but that's just the thing as well. It's always a constant struggle, literally. Ki yaar, ke, kya banna chahoge, kya karna chahte ho and stuff. And that's why I've always sort of had my hands in different things because everything sort of excites me,
Right.
whether it's all types of visual arts and even audio as well, whether it's music production, whether it's animation, filmmaking, graphic designing, motion graphics. So these are sort of things that I sort of try to do things alongside and try to actually have and get all of them together in some ways and work with them in unison, right? So I guess that's
Which is,
pretty much.
it does make sense that you would say this because if anything, your career has been hard to put in a box. Just like you said, you've dabbled in so many different things, and which is also good for us because there's a lot of things to talk about. It's not just maybe one band
Absolutely.
that you might have been part of or one video production effort of yours that we could talk about. There's just so much. But let's start at the start.
Yep.
Are how did you find yourself involved at the very beginning in as concise a manner as you would want to explain it in? How did you find yourself involved in music and then video? Which came first? Did they come together? How did it start?
So, I mean, look, I've been doing music since I was a kid. When I was really 8, 9 years old, etc. And I sort of gave it away because after my father's death, when I was like 12, 13 and stuff, I sort of brushed it aside. and literally didn't pursue it until, I mean, growing up in Peshawar, that was something which was, I didn't look forward to and stuff. But then one fine day, I mean, I met the right people and they sort of nudged me in the right direction as well. And I sort of revisited those roots as well. One of those people, I always credit him for this, is Samad Ghafoor.
Mm-hmm.
A great friend. He's like a brother. He's a mentor. They used to have these indie bands here in Peshawar, right? Back then. So, and Sajid Ghafoor was also part of that as well. So what we
What
did
time
was,
zone are we talking about?
so now this is what we're talking about, 2001, 2002,
Okay.
right? I mean, pehle to se, I mean, was a kid, and nothing literally was happening and stuff. Was I used to learn music as well, learn
Was your
notation, etc.
house, was there a lot of music around the household, in the family? Or
Yeah,
was
there
it just
was.
you?
I mean, everyone were music lovers, and still are, and pursuing arts was always appreciated. I was doing a lot of illustrations and drawings, etc. when I was growing up as well. I
Right.
think when I really came out as an artist as well was pretty much somewhere around 2003, 2004-ish. That's when I basically sort of decided, okay, this is something that I want to do and
Mm-hmm.
actually can do. And that came in the form of two different things. One was basically learning how to do music electronically, in terms of using a digital workstation, a
Right.
DAW, using different programs back then. And I sort of dabbled in music production. So that
Right.
also came in as well. With that also came in music. So with that came in also video production as well, because in theory, both of them are pretty much the same. You are working with
Yes.
frames. You're working with,
There's a
the
timeline.
editing. The editing
Yeah.
timelines are exactly the
Yeah.
same, right?
Yeah.
So that also came in as well. Now, uske saath saath, different opportunities came in as well. I learned how to cam up. I learned how to just sort of pose as a director as well, and sort of do videos here and there as well. So a lot of
Sure.
things came in. Just sort of, I tell everyone. I gave a class recently, and I just told everyone, like, this sort of taking a leap, taking with the first step. Sorry, my phone just rang. Sorry about that. So this is now 2004,
Mm.
and that's when Sajid and I got together and we said, okay, you know what? Let's release some stuff and let's see how it works. King of Self was
Yeah.
an
Blew our
offshoot of
minds.
that.
I don't know how much you know, how much this was communicated to you, but there was a kind of music that was on at the time. This is, I'd say, the Battle of Bands stuff had happened by then. The Pepsi Battle
Yeah,
of Bands
yep.
stuff, EP, RO, ye sab aa rahe the. And it was like, Linkin Park was a big thing, and everyone sort of associated that with EP. And then the people who like Tool also associated themselves with EP. Sab kuch tha. And then you guys just came through. Firstly, Sara discussion was about Karachi, Lahore, a bit of Islamabad. All of a sudden, you
Yep.
have these people coming from Peshawar who are singing songs in English, and there's a huge digital component, and this video has like car racing in it. और हमारे दिमाग फट गए थे. We're like, ये क्या होता है?
यार उसमें इतने flaws हैं. Thank you so much, by the way. Thank you. But उसमें इतने flaws हैं because if you look at the video right now, and I keep on thinking, यार, what were we smoking? Literally, कि यार एक Honda Civic 95 Honda Civic को तुम 2D के साथ, डीजल के साथ तुम रेस करवा रहे हो,
Yeah.
और 2D जीत जाती है. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, it's so many different components. But see, that's the thing. Peshawar was a completely different um, place at that time. MMA की government थी.
Yeah.
The arts was something which was, artistic expression was not, you know, it wasn't supported literally. So I mean, we said, yeah, let's take an off chance as well. And in the explosion of indus music, also, I mean, that actually had a very big part to play in our lives, right? So I mean, there's a lot of contribution from Islamabad, like you said, from Karachi and stuff as well, even from Islamabad at times as well. But then we said, Peshawar se bhi representation honi chahiye. Peshawar mein there were songs coming in as well, but they were like pushto songs and stuff.
Yeah.
Once in a while, you'd actually see
Rahim
them.
Shah.
Yeah, Rahim Shah, Zeke Afridi, and Humayun Khan and these guys and stuff as well. Because AVT Khyber had also launched in those days as well. I don't know, to my memory, only usi time span bhi tha aisa, right? So that was a lot of local artists coming in as well, but in Pushto. So we said, yaar, English is zaruri hai.
Yeah.
So that's when
And
we
how
started.
long had you and Sajid been together at that point when the video came out?
Less than a year, I believe.
Oh wow, okay. And
Less
this is
than
like
less than a year. Less than a year. But we were friends. We were friends, but we never ever, the idea never clicked. I mean, we used to jam, but once in a while. But see, when we said, okay, you know what, let's just figure out exactly what we can do and stuff as well. So within a couple of months and stuff, we actually had a couple of songs. And in fact, King of Self wasn't the first one that we produced. It was actually a couple of other songs which Sajid had. Just for the record, I should say that all of the songs are written by Sajid and pretty much composed by Sajid as well. I just come in and sort of arrange them and give them a production flavor to that as well.
Right.
So Sajid had a lot of these songs written beforehand. When he had come in, he just wanted to utilize them in a way that just sounded fresh and for that time at least. Right. So King of Self was that, and many people don't know about this, but King of Self was actually written literally in half an hour, 40 minutes. I'm not kidding. And that's the genius of Sajid, literally. And what we did was, it was literally composed within his day's time. He was playing something, and particularly how we would work is, and how we still work like that is, I actually make him play stuff over a grid, over a beat or something, and then he starts playing things. And then what we do is, within an instant, you'd actually just pick up a loop, right? And I would say, you know, this sounds interesting. Let's build up with that. Then he actually just briefly came up with the riff, the main riff. And that's how we basically sort of looped it, and I built up around that as well. So sort of recognize that riff and say, okay, you know, let's work around that. So that was basically how pretty much King of Self was shaped.
And also now in the video, I think, was Fuzzy Zaka in the video? I think Fuzzy Zaka was in the video.
Yeah. So that was Fuzzy Zaka's very first appearance with the media world.
Right.
Fuzzy and I are cousins. So so that was also one thing as well that I was going to point out as well. Fuzzy had a very big role to play in my life as well, because we were cousins. We were living literally 3 blocks away, right? So, and he was always an amazing speaker. He was just brilliant with words, and just how he sort of, I told him, look, man, and he was always like, you know, wo jo bas cool hone ki koshish na, ki bas yaar, dude, bas yaar, rock, dude, over rock and stuff. And he's amazing that. I told him, look, man, I'm going to make your dreams come true. I'm making a music video. You want to be down with that? He said, yeah, man, sure. Why not? I just need to get some shirts for myself. I said, yeah, I'm going to sure, do it, dude. So, bas aage to, and that's how he basically came in. But it wasn't literally after King of Self, literally within 3 months, we started, I think, so September 2004 was when we released King of Self. December 2004 is when we had the first episode of On the Fringe.
Which is a great segue to the next point. I think a lot of, how much impact do you think the explosion at that time of pehle to private channels the hi nahi na, but there was this Musharraf situation at that time. Ekdam se there was like private channels are allowed. I don't know exactly how they work under Pembra, but there was like ek din nahi the aur agle din there were 80,000 channels. So how important was the availability of that platforms, do you think, in your eyes, to you guys taking the step to thinking, yeah, we can also do this? Like, would you have done it? It was still PTV, STN wala zamana.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'll be honest with you. We had so much support and encouragement from Indus Music. It's unbelievable. Like, I'll give you an example. We got away with a lot of stuff with On the Fringe, which I don't think a state's channel would have never ever allowed.
I see everything. I do my research meticulously.
Hey, have you read something?
No, not enough.
Quickly read something.
Wait. I've learned Dave Navarro. I'll say Stevie Ray Vaughan and Dave Matthews. Van Halen. I'll pretend I know some of this.
How many pages have you read?
I just saw the cover.
You should have done this before. You should have done this before.
They won't know. Believe me, I swear, I'll make it look like I know everything.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Just...
And you know, so I mean, we kept on making fun of a lot of people and a lot of things, right? Just generally would have not been possible. And at the same time, you know, the fact that channels reaching out to you and saying, Assalamu alaikum, Zeeshan bhai, how are you? Theek-thaak, okay. And people actually, the good thing about that was the culture behind people knowing who made the video, you know, who edited the video, who DP'd the video, you know, that was an awesome thing.
The way you're talking about this makes it seem like this is not the case anymore. like अब इतनी detail में लोग नहीं घुस रहे? Is it just because things have established and उस वक्त everything was new and people were hungry for content, so they were making these inroads, and अब चीजें establish हो गई हैं, so we're back to like a status quo sort of situation?
I don't know if I don't know if the television channels have that sort of support from different sponsors at all at this time or not. That I can't really answer that properly, so because there are a lot of dynamics in play. But
Sure.
the thing is, since if a lot of television channels right now had the same kind of support that they had back then, that also, I think that would have been a different case altogether. But then उसमें ये भी होता है कि since you have a lot of different segments shows के, so there's a lot of different sponsors coming in as well. Right. So they also say as well, okay, this is something which is fresh, so let's just invest in that as well. Exactly.
Okay. So then 4 months, I guess, after King of Self is when On the Fringe starts. So Fasi Zaka goes from first media appearance in King of Self to now he's the host of a show. How did On the Fringe, like how did the idea come about? Again, did someone from Indus get in touch with you and say, we have a space for this, or was it something you pitched?
Yeah, so Ghazanfar Saab, who was the CEO of Indus Music, he was very supportive of the fact that, you know, we released not one but two videos which were doing very well in those times. Yeah. Actually, three videos. One was basically King of Self. The other one, which was another video of mine that I did for an artist called Jangir Aziz. The song called Never Change. Yeah. Those were two of my first videos, actually. So the second one that we did was My Happiness from Sajid Zeeshan. So there was a lot of buzz कि Peshawar से क्या चीज आ रही है और ये भी English music क्या हो रहा है. So he reached out to me, said, okay, you guys are doing great stuff as well, to see if you guys want to have a show that is revolved around Peshawar and see if you want, and just make me a pitch and stuff and see what happens. So I thought about it and I told him, you know what, it might not be only Peshawar, but let's just focus on Islamabad as well, because I had actually had a lot of love for a lot of bands from Islamabad, a lot of indie bands from Islamabad, and I felt that they were not given the space that they deserved. So I told him, okay, look, why don't we just make a show around that, but let's have a core philosophy of just showing artists as they are, but not as what you would see them, how they are on Indus music programs. Right. Like, you know, all lit up, makeup, shake up karke and stuff. You know, the thing about that, the core philosophy was, we want to get to know the artist more. Just exactly like, you know, I'm excited to be with you as well, because, and I thank you for that. You've done your research and stuff as well, so thank you. It just makes me feel awesome.
Sure, no, of course.
But that is the thing. So I discussed that with Fasi as well, and he sort of elaborated, you know, let's just do this, and he coined this term On the Fringe, like, you know, we're actually coming away from the mainstream and looking at the mainstream from afar. Right. And let's just do it in a fashion that no one has ever done before. So the core philosophy was no makeup, no lights, no microphones, no sets, and and just one small shady camera. That's it. Right. So
ये शुरू से decided था कि you would be.
ये शुरू से decided था, and we initially got a lot of heat from Indus Music. यार कि तो light भी नहीं है, तो बंदा नजर भी नहीं आ रहा.
Yeah, it was quite obvious.
So because. Now, if you can consider this, and we got lucky with this, to be honest. I don't know how we did it, but to have a person like Atif Aslam and make him sit at a closed Pizza Hut at 2 a.m. and just doing an interview, casual interview, and after a concert, yani ki pagalpan tha, literally, and we were doing this sort of stuff, literally.
And that was like when Atif Aslam was going nuclear in Pakistan in terms of like popularity, and you had. It's not just like indie people. Ali Azmat, I remember my favorite On the Fringe memory, which I talk about all the time on Twitter, is you guys were not known in the industry, but ye tha ke Indus Music pe acha ek hai show On the Fringe. Like, that was something people knew just from the schedule. So when you had Ali Azmat on, Fasi Zaka asked him, I always say his full name, Fasi Zaka. He asked him if he knows what the name of the show is.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Thanks a lot.
I'm a big fan.
What's the name of the show?
On the Go.
On the Go.
Thanks, Kurt. And वो मेरे दिमाग में like imprint हो गई है वो memory. I don't know why, but it's just this very weird thing. But yeah, you had like big guys on.
We had big guys on, and they would actually come in because they would actually, a lot of other people would actually उनके कान भर देते थे कि यार, okay, these guys doing something different.
Yeah.
So just just have an interview. And that's an interview. A lot of people just reach out to us and they say, yeah, we had a time of our lives just talking about stuff, general stuff. And yeah, usse phir different cheezein, crazy cheezein bhi ho jati hai. Like we would go to, we would, a strange memory just came in as well. We went to Abbas Ali Khan's office to interview him, right?
Okay.
Now, before we started interviewing him, first he was looking around the room like anything, and I knew okay, something is cooking. And I told Abbas, Abbas, can you give us like 5-10 minutes? And he was like, sure. So Fuzzy said, dude, I have an amazing idea for a segment which I think would be kick-ass. And I go, okay, let's call it pop psychology. I said, and then he talked to me about it. So pop psychology would be that we go to an artist's room and we psychoanalyze his personality by looking at all the inanimate objects in the room. Right? And then uske baad pop psychology aa jata hai. So the segment is कि before an interview, the fussy goes and actually checks out the books and kya yaar, check karo yaar, ye hacking book hai, ye kya hai yaar, why is Abbas Ali Khan doing this? This is where. But uske baad, those sort of things as well.
Yeah.
It was lots and lots of stuff like
what
that.
What is Abbas Ali Khan doing while you guys are doing this in his office? Is he just
Abbas Ali Khan was, I don't know, just up whatever. I don't know, he was waiting for his interview and stuff as well. But my favorite interview is Nusrat Hussain. Nusrat Hussain, because I don't know if you caught that episode, but he was talking about his days with Vital Signs. Mm-hmm. Just the hilarious days that you could think of, the hilarious stories, right? He just opened them up. He told us that Vital Signs would have a fifth member who was called Jeera Blade. And no one knew about this. And and then we would actually have like small captions, Meera Jeera ghar aaya. You know what I'm saying? Stupid cheezein aayi thi. Acha, ek aur cheez jo thi in this music, I'm sorry, you're taking me back to the show because I used to love making that show. We would have artist advertisements for people, for artists who even they didn't want their advertisements, we would actually make them, right? There was an artist called, so we would make advertisements for them. So that was a segment of the show. It was basically an artist called Imik. I don't know if you remember back in the day.
Yes.
उसका एक वो था एल्बम निकला था ज़माना बदलेगा, right? So the advertisement was कि एक अर्थ है और एक मीटर आ जाता है तो आधा अर्थ आधा रह जाता है क्या ज़माना बदलेगा Imik, right? So stupid shit like that, literally.
It's important that I don't mention this enough, I feel, and Fasi has influenced us in the sense that his podcast, How to Pakistan with Musharraf, is, I think, 75% of the reason why we decided to do a thing.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, he's just a really chill dude, and who manages to somehow just be very inspiring at the same time. And How to Pakistan ki energy, they're talking about real stuff, politics, masle masail, but just the chemistry between the two of them, and Musharraf coming in hard, but Fasi relenting, but then side se koi baat andar dal dena. That just was a huge inspiration. So it's always good for us to mention it. How long did On the Fringe last? And how was
On the Fringe ki kafi hiccups hote the because it was a bi-monthly show. It was initially a weekly show, then it was a bi-monthly show. It went on for 2 years, but it was never ever. Payment के भी मसले होते थे, इधर उधर के मसले होते थे हमेशा and stuff as well. But it was never consistent. But it ran for a good 2 years till we just sort of said, you know what, let's pull the plug because it's just now becoming. I felt it was becoming stale, really, and we said, you know what, let's just call it quits for the time being till it just. But we took pride in just sort of making advertisements for. We would actually tell IM कि यार हम अपने advertisements बनाएंगे because तुम लोग तो हमारे लिए कुछ नहीं कर रहे, right? So we would actually say, you know, the most least watched show on this music on the Fringe, and they would actually run that literally. So, but that's the show that people still talk about in some circles, I believe.
I think, I mean, obviously it's a weird example, but Chappelle's show is a very different thing. But it also had that sort of, it was on a major network, but it had that resonance, I think, with people. Okay, you know, these guys just doing stuff. No one has any idea how they're getting away with it.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just impacting people on some level that they just remember it years and years on. Now that we're done with On the Fringe, where does Zeeshan Parwez go next?
So there were two different things happening at the same time. I quit my 9 to 5 job. I was working with an organization helping communication students, teach them about audio theory, about mass communication, about how to report, how to do journalism using audio technologies, etc. This was in Peshawar. Uske saath saath, then I went into music production with Sajid full time. And uske saath saath music videos for different artists. So I did a bunch of them for Mekaal Hassan, for different people, for indie bands mostly. And uske saath saath 2008 would be my entry into Coke Studio.
Okay.
The first year was as a house band member, and the second one, since the music was took on a different tangent altogether, so I came in as a video producer, which is sort of like a video director.
Right. So we have two segments here to talk about. Obviously, Coke Studio is a big thing, but there's also the music video segment, which is, I think, something that our friend Nader really focused on. When I think the music videos, maybe given the three examples that we really were invested in, the three Ali Azmat videos, you did videos for Ali Azmat, Mekaal Hassan, Atif Aslam, sab theek hai. But the three really, because they're all, I think, from the same album, but they're all so different. The Galla Teri Parchaiyan, and there was one other, which I have written down, Tera Mera. Yeah. Tera Mera, I think, is the one that Nader is the most affected by. But these three examples, they're all so different. Did these come out after your first exposure to Coke Studio, experiencing Coke Studio, or were they before, at the same time?
So I believe, if memory serves me right, Teri Parchaiyan was definitely before Coke Studio. That was, I believe, 2006.
Right.
I may be messing out on the years. It's been quite a while. Teri Parchaiyan was from the Social Circus album.
Yeah.
2007, 2008 was when Gala was done. And so these were two, I think, were pre-Coke Studio.
Okay.
I may be messing it up, sorry, but this is
what frame of reference. I should have done some actual research in terms of the years.
No, sorry, I should have remembered this as well.
No, it's all right.
It's been a long time. It's been 12 years.
My weird frame of reference is I'm looking at the guitar that Ali Azmat's playing. And I'm like, yeah, this guitar he started playing after. Ran plays that guitar.
Sir.
I saw them on Coke.
Chage.
Yeah. Oof. So, okay, let's do the music videos first before we go into Coke Studio. At what point now were you fully invested in the music video scene? This is after On the Fringe or towards the end of it?
No, this was during On the Fringe.
Okay.
So basically, what had happened was, I just found out that after doing some music videos for Sajid Zeeshan, I just decided that I absolutely love making music videos. Yeah. There wasn't any money in it as such, but it would just keep me afloat. It would just keep me comfortable. But it was just so much fun making music videos and just trying to experiment. The only problem was it would take a lot of energy and toll. Generally, because every music that I would do, music video that I would do, it would be the production would be over a couple of months. Like I'll give you an example, Sajid Zeeshan's freestyle dive video, animated video, that was 7 months. It was just me alone, just I don't know, painting and drawing, 2,000-3,000 pictures over a span of that time. The same goes for Galla, which was a lot of fun, which was, and many people don't know about this, and I was actually giving this a talk at the Lahore Music Meet as well, is that predominantly 60% of that whole video is actually printouts. So,
yes.
So those are printouts and stuff as well. So we recorded them and then sort of printed those out, and those sort of things. And then there was claymation involved as well, and miniatures.
It has this very unusual, because the background is drawn, it appears. And then in Loki, these people are like live action, but their motion is very like stop motion, sort of claymation, Wallace and Gromit type situation, even though they're people. So that was, and then the other video we compared it to, the first one was fully shot on camcorders, which is Tera Mera. Apparently, it's like, it seems like it's camcorders in a room.
It is. So it is basically, to what I recall, it is approximately 21 camcorders, VHS camcorders, in one locked room, and they were fixed literally, and we just let them. But they were different takes, but we just let them do this. And this was 2008, 2009, something like that.
And is anyone, just so that I can understand the process, when you come up with an idea, okay, acha, the song is whatever, Ali Azmat makes the song, and he's like, iski video karni hai. And then you're like, I have an idea. How much is, for example, Ali Azmat or whoever the artist is, how much are they involved in, okay, I think this is a cool idea, or is it just like, I think this is what we're doing, and they're like, sure, whatever you want?
Yeah, I've been so blessed and lucky that all these artists actually trusted me with their songs entirely. They would have minor suggestions here and there as well. But people like Mekaal and Ali Azmat just full on told me, okay, you whatever you want to do and do this as well. And I thought they would actually shoot down the idea, because if I were to tell them, yeah, you know what, the song is about good and evil, how do we represent that? That is basically through two giant ants fighting each other and stuff as well. He said, okay, sure, that's perfectly fine. Go ahead, do it. Just give us a reference. So I would just give them Michel Gondry references, because I always loved his stuff. And they would be, go for it. Mekaal Hassan would completely trust me with his stuff, and he'd be like, definitely. So, you know, that also just pushed me forward. Yeah, I would actually give my 200% on those tracks.
Right. Because these people, I'm sure for you too, they were heroes for you.
Absolutely. I still am to this day so fond of their music and their attitude towards different things. Ali Azmat, though, he's amazing. I just should say it for the record that the most fun that I've had on a music video to this day, making it would be Gala.
Yeah.
But the most fun that I had on set was Mekaal Hassan's Joke Ranjan. And that was just a day's shoot. It was a studio shoot. But it was that song and the setting, it just was amazing energy that I remember to this day. And it was just so much fun editing that. In fact, if anything, Mekaal Hassan, he specifically came to Peshawar as well, and he sat down with me, and we were part of the editing process as well. And both of us had a wonderful time just editing it as well. So
I think that, and also that album Sampuran was such a crazy album when it came out. I personally had not heard anything like it at the time. But let's move on to the Coke Studio thing. How do you get involved now? You're tapped for a music role in the first one. How does the conversation go with you ending up as part of the video production team for season?
So at the end of season 1, it was decided that Rohail was going to go on a different music tangent altogether. The sound would be completely different as well. He wanted to actually have a video team that sort of who didn't work on season 1, but he was looking at different things, or how we can actually achieve new standards in sort of filmmaking and documenting a process as well. He knew that I was doing music videos as well, and involved with different things here and there as well and everything. So he approached and told me, like, are you open for this? So I actually initially was quite reluctant, because I think it's a very big hat to wear. I mean, I was very much familiar with performance videos, but you know, this is a completely different world together.
Yeah.
So I mean, upon just investigating the idea as well, I thought it was doable, but I actually had to see if the resources that we had, was it doable or not. And just after a bit of investigation, I thought, okay, this could be done. So let's just devise a plan. So I told Rohail first, I told him, okay, I need your help in sort of designing a workflow. So for whatever that people know about Rohail, he's super technical. He's very, very technically sound with everything. Literally, he touches. He is aware of all the technologies, the latest technologies, etc. So he sort of devised a plan of what could be done in sort of capturing all the performances and stuff as well. So now here's one thing that you have to consider. This is 2009 we're talking about, okay? So technology was completely different. There was no HD. And this is season 2 is about to begin. So I don't know if I can make that claim or not, but I'll just put it out anyways over here, because Undar mein multicam recording would be done on award shows. mostly,
Yeah.
right? And from what I had heard, I don't know whether this is true or not, but a lot of people when they would record, right, so एक बंदा बैठा होता था switcher पे, right, and he would be switching cameras
Between
with his
cameras,
fingertips,
right.
with his fingertips.
Sure.
It's sort of like a cricket match, whatever,
Sure.
right? ठीक है?
Yeah.
That would be recorded as one file.
Oh, okay.
So not different files. So I don't know whether this is true or not. Okay? But this is what we had heard. So what we had done was we had to ensure that each and every camera was recorded individually. And those cameras, जो कि studio cameras, they didn't have any tapes, cassettes or something stuck to them as well. They had to be recorded via a separate external source through a CCU unit and then through a DG Beta Cam source or a Beta Cam source or TV Cam source, whatever. So, so long story short, basically we had to actually, so there were 10 cameras at that time. So we had to actually make sure all of the sources were individually recorded. And to do that, we had to prepare a design which I don't think had been done in the country. At least I hope not, but I'm just making these claims as well. But उस टाइम के लिए लोग पागल हो गए थे लिटरली हम टेक्नीशियंस को कहते हैं वो कहते थे बॉस ये नहीं हो सकता आप पागल हो गए नहीं हो जाता है imagine a room full of Mac Pros and cassette recorders and stuff as well and then when we're recording in that room everyone is sweating because दो तीन ACs लगे हुए but there's so much heat generated because of all the you know the equipment and stuff as well.
The lights.
So so lights that was a separate room. This is actually the OB room. So the OB room, you would just be thinking of like, sitting and stuff and just directing the cameraman and stuff as well. This same OB room had tons and tons of equipment, which now you don't need that equipment anymore. But they would be generating so much heat that person would be better than you'd be calling out the shots. So we sort of achieved those things back then. And it was a success. I mean, there were a couple of hiccups as well, but we were able to edit each and every shot and color graded accordingly the way we wanted to, etc. So there was a lot of things that we sort of developed at that time.
It was a very visual like departure in terms of from season 1 to season 2. It seemed like the scale had also increased. Was this not done in season 1 in this manner?
Season 1 में यार I was not part of the video, so I do not know what exactly went in the production. But season 2 में ये था कि we actually I can say that myself and the associate producer back then, Adnan Malik, we actually did a lot of our homework in sort of designing camera shots and kya ho sakta hai, kya nahi ho sakta. I edited pretty much most of the whole episode myself because I told Rohel कि I'd like to edit the whole season. Aaj Latha Nahi Ho was the first one that I edited because when they came out I said Rohel, that's the first song that I'm editing. So that was the first edit that we did for that season, and that came out to be the first season's song of season 2.
You haven't done this before at this point. What inspirations were you pulling from going into the project, or was it just on the fly? You were just thinking, how do I solve this problem ahead of me?
Yeah, the good thing about it. I mean, it was all prep work, I can say. It was months and months of prep work into sort of knowing, first of all, getting to know the limitations of all the resources that you have, and also getting to know the limitations of people around you as well, because there's a lot of people in the country as well saying, "Haan, boss, hum ye kar lenge as well." Then you know they're never going to deliver.
Yeah.
So and working in Karachi itself is a fantastic, amazing, eye-opening experience as well. So you grasp all that, you do months and months of research. Not only me, I also give the whole credit to Rohel as well, because Rohel was actually helping me as well, sort of, because he knew that if we do this is going to be our formula for the next couple of seasons. And that was the formula that we used for till when HD arrived. So it just sort of saved our skin for season 3 as well. When HD arrived, then we didn't need to have that sort of equipment as well. But the back planning or your workflow was pretty much the same, which we follow to this day as well. At least in the seasons that Rohel had and I have produced.
One thing I've always wondered is, and you don't have to answer this question if it lets some of the magic go, but there's a song that is produced and it's come out, this Go Studio song. How much of it is like a one take situation and how much of it is like just repeated takes and you pull the best parts?
It's always one take.
It's always one take.
We never ever choose different takes from different parts as well. It's
Really?
all within the same. Rohel is very particular about timelines. So and it's always the same take. You're in the same linear place in that performance. So we never
Wow,
pull
that's
out
crazy.
as well. वो
Okay.
ठीक है अगर बीच में अगर if there's another portion that comes out from another artist as well, so I mean that's another place, but predominantly it's one whole type. So that's
And
why I mean we'll have different takes, but we'll choose
Sure.
the best take out of that, and we'll just stick to that take.
oh, right. Okay. So you'll have different recordings, but the one you pick is just the one that ends up. as
Yeah,
the
and we
final
won't choose footage between different takes.
Like something
It'll-
stand-up
we'll
comics do is they'll do a couple shows at the same venue,
Yeah.
same kapdon mein,
Yeah.
so that you just think it's the same person, same show, but they pick the
Yep.
best reactions or when the
Yep.
joke went best, for example. So you don't do
Exactly.
this.
No, we don't. We just take the same one take, एक ही take ले लेते हैं. So and that's the
And
best
what
take.
about the audio side of things? Is
Yeah.
there like would there be something like overdubs or would there be something like track replacements? Agar kuch live kuch masla ho gaya ho, like things go wrong in a live performance.
To my knowledge, no, because but enhancements hote hain. What happens is you treat this exactly how you would as an album
Sure.
production, right?
Yeah.
So whatever the vocals are at that time and stuff, or whatever, we use those tracks as well and sort of just EQ them and compress them, etc., right? You add effects to them, sort of do it. But I mean, whenever there've been audio malfunctions as well, we've had retakes done,
Right.
but not of that particular thing. We'd actually the whole song gets retaken back, right? So there have been
Oh.
like audio faults. We actually ensure, like, I mean, from what I understand, I can't like say this for the whole audio team and stuff as well.
Mhm.
But from what I've noticed is that if there's any sort of distortion in any audio signal or something, that is rectified beforehand before they go into recording as well. So
Okay.
that on recording this doesn't thing happen.
Okay. So then season 2, clearly you're establishing a base on a lot of levels because the undertaking is just so new and so huge. How is there a sense, this is a bit of a generic question, I think, but is there a sense of pressure in terms of, because Coke Studio, when season 1 came out, no one had seen something like this in Pakistan in recent memory, or ever maybe. And it was huge. It was like a Pakistan Bus Music is now just Coke Studio, and this is the pinnacle of anything that can ever be done. Does that translate into pressure in season 2 when you're like, season 1 was smaller than this, and there was already such an insane response. Now season 2 is so much bigger, so much more challenging, and we also have that expectation to deal with? Or was that something you just didn't think of in the moment?
Obviously in season 2 I didn't think of those things because I knew if I'm coming in for the first time, I'm bringing in first-hand knowledge and first-hand aesthetics.
Right.
Even so, for that matter, Adnan Malik also sort of brought his creativity as well, his vision as well at that side, which actually, and he produced beautiful shots while working with the cameraman as well and everything. And that went on till season 4 and stuff while I was there. So, I mean, that kicked in when we were in season 3, season 4. So with every season, next season, we would actually try to see what is the different visual side that we can bring in onto this.
So, okay. What is then the difference? I think you've done, in that portion of time, you did season 2, 3, 4, Ek ke baad ek. How then do you exceed yourself, or is that even a criteria going from 2 to 3, 3 to 4?
So we used to do these small experimentations and stuff as well. I necessarily don't know whether people notice that or not, but I think they sort of contribute. First of all, every season has a different set. I don't know if you've noticed that, but the different set, and it's pretty much a shape. And that basically, that shape is kind of like the philosophy that we're sort of following in the whole thing. Music is obviously different. But we would do these small experimentations, and I often talk about one of my favorite shoots from Coke Studio, which is season 3's Chori Chori, which is Misha Shafi's song.
Oh yeah, what a great song.
And I'll tell you why that is my favorite shoot to this day, is because we did something which was very risky. It may not appear as a very big deal right now, but what happens is, if you've noticed at the end of the end of the song, when it sort of dies down, everything becomes super dark. But when it lights up, right, we're not using the house lights, we're using the S&D lights in the back, right? So everything is lit using the graphics, the S&D lights in the back. Right. Now, why that is tricky, I mean, obviously it looks really cool, it looks stylish, but the trick in that is that back in those days, when luminance or brightness would reach a certain threshold, आपके जो TV वगैरह होती थी, it would actually convert into audio noise. So that was also sort of tricky as well. अगर आपको याद हो state television में पहले कभी जो होता था, if you would actually listen to something और एक कोई white कोई चीज आ जाती तो चर्र की आवाज आ जाती. I don't know if you remember that or not, but it would actually happen that.
But this is like a CRT television limitation.
Yeah. So उन दिनों में जो है exactly. So the luminance basically, if it would reach a certain level, it would actually create into audio distortion. So I mean, we were sort of working around those sort of things as well, but trying to experiment and stuff as well, because that song completely gave a new look altogether, right? Mm-hmm. And then there was different camera angle changing, etc. at portions and stuff, so it's तरह की चीजें, pacing of editing, so we sort of started doing those sort of things.
And you said that you moved to an HD workflow in season 3, was it?
In season 4.
Season 4.
So season 4 mein by then season 4 mein the HD cameras were readily available by our vendors who would sort of rent them out and so.
So season 4 is then when we see you move on to something different but sort of similar, in the sense that you were then involved in Uth Records. How did that come about, and why did you make that move?
Uth Records wasn't the reason why I was kind of leaving Coke Studio as well. I was in those days I was sort of going towards I was actually also leaving for Canada as well in those days. So we thought that I was in the process as well. Uth Records actually happened a little bit before that as well, before I left. So there was potential of actually, I mean, I have a very soft corner for indie bands, right?
Sure.
And that's something which we thought, Gumby and I thought, yaar, ye show jo hai, this actually could be something for us to launch a platform where indie bands and artists can come in and just, and we help them produce a song and a music video of recording, etc., right? It was completely a different tangent from Coke Studio as well. Right. That was just to show our love for indie bands and indie music culture there in Pakistan. And there are a lot of people over there as well. So we thought we could actually do that. And so this was actually picked up by Uphone.
So you had the idea first, and then Uphone picked it up.
It was actually Gumby's. This is Gumby's idea. So this was Gumby's idea. He's the original, since he's the producer. It's the general idea is his, and he sort of approached me to sort of assist in taking care of video production in the form of video producer for the show as well. And I said, sure, why not? Because it's obviously at the end of the day you wanna work with wonderful friends and awesome people as well and everything. So it was Gumby and Umran and we sort of did that as well. And it was in Gumby's small studio back then. And we just pulled it off as well. And it was great fun. But season 2 was when we had the most fun.
Oh, season 2 is when you had the most fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Why was that the case? Because my next question was going to be, it ended after season 2. So was 2 seasons just the idea, or did it not like have the same impact anymore in your as far as you felt? But then you're saying it's more fun in 2.
Yeah, it's season 2 was a lot more fun because the crew was bigger, the studio was bigger, the reach was bigger. So, and I actually had artistically much more, although schedule was tight, but I could actually do more things than just with respect to season 1, I believe. Okay. I generally love all the songs in season 2 as well. The brilliant songs. So we generally had a great time. But uske saath saath, I should say that I don't know what the reasons were whether they're not picked. Maybe the sponsors are not just decided that they want to take something else or move to a different platform altogether. But I still miss that show because I think I felt that if it had gone for a couple of seasons more, I think it would have materialized into something bigger.
generally. At that time, because those were difficult times as well in Pakistan. So maybe people were not the whole because right now, if I were to pitch this show to someone, or Gambi were to pitch the show to someone, they would actually instantly get it. Okay, we want to know about the whole recording process and stuff as well. We would actually explain those sort of things via our show.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't get too much traction as well, which sort of makes me sad as well at the same time. But I think it had a good run. It had a decent run in sort of having its name up there in the timeline of shows in Pakistan.
It was great, and we personally also, again, another person, ऐसा लग रहा है पूरा show हमारे personal connections पे बना हुआ है, but because Nadir I was with a bunch of friends. We used to be involved in the music scene, again inspired by all you people, and then we had put in an application for Youth Records at the time in the band I was in. Didn't work out because there was obviously very talented people. Yeah. And then this was, I think, season
really
1.
Concept? Which one? You had a band?
Yeah, a long time ago, and an embarrassing story now. But it was. Tell
me.
It was. I used to play bass, and it was a band named Flam. It was a very small band in Karachi, which came out.
Sorry, you were cutting off. Can you say it again? Can you say it again? What was the name of the band?
Lam. FLAM.
Lamb.
No.
Hello.
This is even more hilarious than anyone would have ever expected.
Flam. Acha.
Yes.
Bahut alag.
Yeah. So it started.
Yeah, songs
you know
which started. And Nadir was also part of that as well?
No. This is well before I knew Nadir. It's a very weird. I think it started because on, was it Indus Music or AG? Maybe it was AG. But there was a show where they broke down recording and music concepts, and maybe it was Farhad Humayun or someone who was talking about drumming concepts, and there was the paradiddle, and there was a flam, or is tarah ki cheez thi.
Flam,
yeah. So we were jamming at a friend's, and uske abba jo the wo army mein the, and unka koi event hona tha, and he just showed up. He's like, bas mera beta drummer hai, to mera band usme aa jayega. And we're like, what's your name? And we had no idea because we had no name at that point. And we're like, all right, just Flam. We'll just put that in. People thought it was a reference to George Michael's band, Wham. And we're like, nope, humne ye bilkul nahi socha tha. But yeah, the connection that came from Youth Records was Jumbo Jet was one of the bands in Youth Records, and Ali Sohail from Jumbo Jet. I sort of recognized them because we were playing at the same underground concerts, and then eventually Ali Sohail met Nadir, and they became very good friends, and Ali Sohail eventually worked in Sikandar Mandir as well. So that's again a weird personal connection that came in from Youth Records for us, like years down the line. Once Youth Records concludes, have you already gone to Canada? And I think we're moving on to the Vancouver Film Institute, so phase of your life. Towards the end of Coke Studio, towards the end of Youth Records, at this point, have you already moved, or are you going to move?
I'm about to move.
Okay. So right after Youth Records.
I moved, right after Youth Records, after a year or so and everything, I moved on to Canada. Things were a little bit dismal because there wasn't too much work happening. Because I was never a commercial director, so I was always invested in, and I still don't do commercials as such. Okay. But the thing is, I always invested my energy into music and different things as well and everything. So there was a lot of things had significantly gone down because उनमें security के मसले भी शुरू हो गए थे ठीक ठाक. उससे पहले से भी शुरू हो गए थे काफी. But it was just the country was going on a different tangent altogether. And I mean, for me to sort of move to Canada was always in the cards, but it just sort of really happened in 2013 when I left for Canada. So and उसके बाद से जो ना, then I mean 2014 में जो था was when I basically got the scholarship for the Vancouver Film School. Okay. So
So you didn't move to Canada for Vancouver Film School, but once you were in Canada, Vancouver Film School also happened.
Yeah. Achha. So it happened, and it was by chance as well, and it sort of it's very one of those stories कि यार के ये कैसे हो गया and stuff. But what happened was कि I always I always regarded VFS to be one of a dream school back then. When, if you remember, a movie called District 9 had come in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the guy was a VFS grad, and there would be stories of
Really?
him doing stuff. So Neil Blomkamp was a VFS
Yeah.
grad, and काफी ज़रा होता था. So there was a lot of talk of the town, and काफी ज़्यादा होता था. We always say, "यार, wow!" There was always in the headlines. So 2014 May, what had happened? 2013 and May, what had happened was there was a open invitation for different submitting your movies, written statements and stuff, and basing your movie on as a 90-second testimonial and submitting it to VFS in order to be eligible for a full scholarship around the world. So मैंने कहा कि मेरे क्या chance हो गए ना, but I did it anyways because Canada में things weren't sort of happening anyways as such as well. So I submitted that as well and everything. So I was kind of lucky enough I was one of the 3 people to get it globally.
Wow.
So so my session started from 2014 to 2015.
So you had to submit a new production, not like a portfolio of your past work.
So basically, yeah. So what happened was, it's what you do is you submit a movie, a 90-second movie, and it was a contest back in that day. So you would actually make a 90-second movie based on a line from a manifesto that they had, numerous lines.
Sure.
So the line that I chose was "My life is measured in frames per second." So I sort of built up around that and stuff as well. So yeah.
Okay. And what happens once you join the Vancouver Film School? Like, what are with the majors you're into? I haven't been to film school and I have no idea about it because I am very excitingly, I'm an accountant by profession. So mujhe kuch nahi pata. But what is like the trajectory of someone who's going through a place like Vancouver Film School? Like, do you go in with a set idea of things you want to learn? Are there changes as you're going through it? Like new interests crop up that weren't there before, or how's that going?
So Vancouver Film School was an eye-opening experience. It was an intense 1 year where it's a diploma course. So you go in for a year, you literally don't know any family or anyone as well except for your classmates and stuff, and it's that intense. The great thing about film school, particularly that one, is that we had people from different parts of the world, different cultures, different mindsets, etc. So it was like a boiling pot. So now for the first 3 months, they essentially just focus on making you in work function as a team. That's their main thing, which I think is brilliant because we often do not take the process of or the thought of collaboration so seriously, and I think it's very essential in filmmaking as well. They make you think as collaborators, and then you sort of churn out these movies. Now what happens is those are all student movies. They're not as good as you want them to be initially as well, because everyone is learning. But that's the beauty part. You are learning.
Right.
You go.
Are those the ones that are on your Vimeo?
No, I haven't submitted my. मैंने short film नहीं डाली हुई यार. मैं अभी भी embarrassed होता हूँ उससे. I mean, it's good. It's great memories and stuff. Huh? It is. I have wonderful memories with it as well. But one day I'll just put that out as well. Yeah. So basically, what happens is you have to ask yourself, how much are you willing to invest in this as well, and whether you should or not, because आजकल you can learn filmmaking from different resources as well and everything. I thought it was very beneficial for me, although even though I was on a scholarship as well, I think it was a mind-blowing experience because it was my entry into the Canadian job market over there as well. I mean, you develop connections and stuff as well, and it just generally groomed me in a lot of ways as well. And यार इंसान का बच्चा भी मुझसे बना दिया था because यार there's a lot of things that we function, and I'm going to admit के पाकिस्तान में रह कर जो ना, there's a lot of things जो आपके दिमाग में layered होती हैं because of different things that you see as well.
Sure.
That this filmmaking experience, school experience, just sort of took that out of my head, and I was just literally, to this day, I sort of carry that philosophy as well. Collaborate with people and just be one with everything, and just do whatever you can to sort of make the process light and make it function in any way, and just keep on creating. And the good thing about it is met fascinating people, man. There's this friend of mine, I always mention him. His name is Vivian. He's an amazing motion graphics artist. He's a sword fighter, and at the same time, he just yeah, dude, heavy banda hai, and amazing banda. But at the same time, he'll just say, you know what? Let's make something about unicorns. Let's make something about cute rainbow stuff and everything. But amazing banda hai. And he just makes you realize, yeah, you know what? That if you are a passionate guy, right, you can literally do anything. So, and he sort of inspired me to do a lot of things, take on things as small projects. So that's when I sort of, you know, that sort of paved my attention span into creating something like what I do with Studio Rokhan right now, right? So that sort of helped and everything. So I get really inspired by a lot of people and takeaways hoti hain.
And it is interesting because the what you mentioned about sort of deciding before going in, because like at a glance you would say, "Acha, this guy Zeeshan Parwez, he's done Coke Studio, he's done so many music videos, and he has a career. Why is he going to school now?" But clearly, it was in many ways still a learning experience for you in things that in ways that you might not have expected. Perhaps not as much on the fully technical side as if you were completely a novice going in, but clearly it was quite a formative experience for you at the time.
Absolutely. I think as a filmmaker or as anybody, it's always a learning experience, which and I think it should continue on and on as well. I'll let you know. अगर मैं आपका अपना workstation भी खोल लूँ आप right now, you'll actually see that I'm doing tutorials for Blender. I'm learning this software called Blender nowadays. So उस पे आजकल मैं लगा हुआ हूँ, right? So that sort of thing is. इससे पहले जो था there was a particular music program that I was covering. There's this thing that I actually have, and I've given it on my talk as well. कि their monthly schedule में मेरा basically होता है कि I've divided the tutorials that I have to see per month, which is based on एक हफ्ते में focus on audio, the other ones are on video, the other ones on motion graphics, the other ones on whatever, right? The other ones are on. So it's sort of अपने आप को जरा थोड़ा in tune में रखने के लिए.
Did you once you were done with the VFS, did you work in Canada as well?
Yes, I did. I worked at a local movie studio, which basically was sort of making animation, like family content and stuff as well. So I was sort of like their editor, in-house editor over there. So I was actually sort of working over there.
I mean, one would assume initially we had this idea, I don't know, before we probably did the research, that your interest and push into animation came during the VFS time, but clearly you had that in your earlier videos as well. Was that perspective, I'm trying to lead into Studio Rokhan now, was that perspective enhanced in VFS, or was it just something that you were always like as a goal, it was always in your mind, like on the horizon?
Both, actually. I was always interested in animation based on the particular work that I actually done before. But, you know, there's, I think inspiration, getting inspired by the right kind of people would be the right way to put it. In VFS, I actually hung out a lot with 2D animators, with 3D animators, and people just doing interesting things. And I thought, you know, okay, this is, you know, and this is the best way to approach to create things, small things. There was a guy who actually you just make 5-second clips of different things. Okay. And I just thought that was the most creative thing that I've ever seen, right? So, I mean, you get inspired by meeting a lot of people. So, uske saath, once I hung out with people, I sort of invested my time in sort of learning more about animation and sort of, it's not like my koi zabardast animation hai, but the thing about, and I'll talk about it in length as well with Studio Rokhan as well, but it's just sort of like understanding the workflow and prepping yourself to do these projects. So that's how I basically sort of took inspiration from.
Yeah. So why do you come back to Pakistan? A weird way to phrase this question, but what brings you back to Pakistan? Was 6 years the time limit? Shuru se?
No. It wasn't. There were two things. One is basically my mother was she's a cancer survivor, so she was battling cancer. So she wanted to she was undergoing treatment and she had to come back home as well. So I thought that's also one of the reasons why I should be here as well. And while doing so, I mean, there's not a grand set rule ke how long I'm going to be here in Pakistan for and coming back in between these countries, because I love Canada. Sure. But I mean, but the thing is ke the idea was ke while I'm here, I might as well just sort of take this time out and sort of do different projects as well. While I came here, I mean, I always thought कि यार अपने studio तो definitely खोलना है. The way how to go about it was kind of different from what it turned out to be literally. I always thought कि I'll actually commence the studio, which is now called Studio Rokhan. It has two wings. So the first wing is it definitely operates as a production company, which basically other people sort of hire us and we do stuff the way we want to. उसके साथ साथ जो है, there's an in-house wing to it as well, where we produce in-house content, which you've seen pretty much till now.
The PSAs.
The initial, G?
The PSAs.
The PSAs, exactly. Now, what happened was last year, the idea was to release and showcase this studio with releasing a short film in Pushto that I've been planning for the last 6 years, which is my passion project, and that is one thing which I'll share that with you. You'll be the first ones to actually.
Oh, great!
And that's one of my favorite projects. And this one, that's actually, and that sort of encapsulates my journey literally ever since I've come into music production, etc. And we'll talk about that. I mean, at some other time as well. But so that was the idea to actually release that through that video. What happened was that initially it turned out to be something else. What had happened was that now, if you've seen Peshawar right now, if you've heard of Peshawar, we're going through a tough time. Not right now, during the Corona time. It's basically because we're actually looking at the construction of this metro thing called BRT, right? Mm-hmm. It's just crippled the city completely. Traffic jams hote hain completely, and Peshawar is going through a transformation as well because it's overpopulated, overcrowded. So that's why there's a lot of hurdles and different things as well. Now, what happened was I would actually just go to pick up my daughter from school, and her school is literally like 5 minutes away from my house. Now, 5 minutes, but it would literally turn out to be 45 minutes one way. Right. Because of traffic jams and stuff. Yeah. So मैं पागल हो जाता था कि यार ये क्या बकवास है, because one schmuck would just go to the other side of the road and just block the whole thing. I said, this needs to be addressed. So I took some time out and made a PSA on the traffic jam, on how to be patient during a traffic jam.
زمونږ مشرانو همیشه دا ویلي دي چې د صبر میوه خوږوي او چې څوک هم دا خبره نه مني نو راشي وګوري چې بیا ورسره څه کېږي. دا د پاکستان، دا د خیبر پښتونخوا او دا د پیښور. تقریبا 90% د سړکونه دلته دوه لارې دي او د سړک په منځ کې سپینې پټې هډوم نه ښکاري. یا خو زموږ سړکونه ډېر زیات ښه دي او یا ټیکدار خپل کار صحیح نه دی کړی.
سړیه ګراني ده.
او اوس دا وګوري هر کله چې ټرافیک جام شي نو په دې ټرافیک جام کې یو نه یو د پولیس وې داسې ضروري چې د هغه نه صبر بالکل نه کېږي.
د لیوني بچیا په سړیتوب نه کېږي مړه، ټرافیک پوزیشن خراب دی. زه چې په الټه طرف ولو
او د ده په شان بې صبره یاره دا پېښور ته ډک پروت دی.
خدای دې غرقه.
So that was how I released the studio, and it became viral instantly. And because it was pushed to it was animation, and people hadn't seen it, I said, this is something that needs to be done. So that became viral. I followed it up with another PSA on aerial firing. Now that was also during the Pakistan and India matches, because यहाँ पे मुझे आपको पता है लोग पागल हो जाते हैं बस कि अगर कोई मैच हो तो बस AK-47s निकल जाते हैं. So that was the case. And a lot of people die, unfortunately, because of this thing. So, I mean, that was a PSA from our side. On the side, there were other projects happening. I got offers to do music videos. Usse pehle, a little bit before Studio Rokhan I did. And that is in Canada's time as well, which was 12 Baje, which was Atif Aslam's music video that I did.
Right.
And uske saath then there were a bunch of music videos that I did for other people with Rocklight, with Ramiz Khalid. And then I was asked, I got a call again from Rohel Hayat after so many years. hey man, how are you? When did you come from Canada? How long are you? I'm like, I'm here to stay. He was like, yes. So he says, this is a sign. So he says, because I've also been asked to come back. I said, you're kidding. I
Yeah.
said, okay, fine. So that's what led to season 12. And this time I was joined with Mekaal Hassan, director of Lal Kabutar. Beautiful guy.
So an interesting thing. We'll talk about Studio Rokhan also. But what I was wondering was, you've spent 6 years. I'm sure you've come back to Pakistan beach mein bhi during those 6 years. Was the industry that you left similar or very different to the one you found upon your return? I'm sure you've been in touch with people during the time also, but once you started working or like doing perhaps music videos back in Pakistan, Coke Studio वापस से चलना शुरू हुआ. 6 years is both not a huge amount of time, but also a significant amount of time. So was there any significant change that you saw, for better, worse, however?
It was completely changed, completely. And I'll
Really?
give you, I do think 6 years is a significant amount of time. First of all, Vancouver, Pakistan difference, 12 hours, 13 hours difference. You're literally not in touch with
Yeah.
many people as you think you might be. I initially thought I could actually take up on projects from Pakistan while sitting in Canada. That was impossible. So I became very distant from the
Yeah.
industry. When I came over here, completely new faces that I still don't recognize to this day. It's
Do
a
they
lot
know
of
you?
faces. Huh? No,
Do
no
they
one
know-
knows me, man.
Oh, no?
No one
Okay.
knows. No one knows me, and I'm glad no one knows me because I like to be in the back, man.
Incognito.
So I just so there's so many new faces and good stuff as well at the same time, but stuff that I can't relate to. There's things that I'm unfamiliar with. The world of TikTok, the world of
That's what I thought
I
of
don't know
when
what to
you
say.
mentioned-
I don't. Some of them are amazing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a lot of things. I think that's one thing. You think you are relevant in many ways as well and everything, but you keep on. How much are you going to track down, right? So that's one thing.
Coming back to you and Studio Rokhan, so was the PSA angle? It makes sense that now you're accomplished in your talents and skills in your resume, and you make your own studio for because everyone also needs a job, and you have these talents, and obviously this is going to be perhaps a 9 to 5 scenario that is acceptable to you. Was the PSA angle something you always wanted to do, or did that come about because of specific triggers later on, closer to the studio process? Because I'm sure you wanted to make a studio of your own कई सालों से, and not just be an independent artist. But then was the PSA angle also as old as the idea of the studio?
The angle just came out of nowhere, literally, to be honest. It was just because I was just so damn tired of the traffic
Yeah,
problem
okay.
over here. Is I thought that this, if this does contribute in some ways, then why not? So this was while we were in productions of something, and I always tell everyone that the best thing, and that I've learned from other people as well, that invest your time in some passion projects that you might think might do something for the community. So
Okay.
this was one of those as well. So this is just actually literally came out of nowhere. I'm just gonna go forward a bit and come to the Corona videos.
Yes.
How that started off was also another different story as well. Before the ban was reinstated over here, so I mean, I was actually just I was just invited by the health minister over here, Taimur Jagra Saab, to come over and actually just be a part of this session on coronavirus, because before anything had happened, he was super concerned because he knew that and it was apparent that this thing is going to hit Pakistan like anything. And all of us should sort of do in our own capacity, not from the government side, but in our own capacity, just contribute in some ways in terms of help with communications, etc., as well. Not particularly for the government, but just generally. And because he was particularly very fond of the PSAs that I had done as well, and he always wanted to do
That's how he
things.
knew you?
Yeah, that's how he knew
Okay.
me. So basically, it's because the other old two PSAs had a lot of traction in the Pakhtun-speaking world over
Right.
here. So they did fairly well. So that's how he knew me as well and everything. So I hadn't committed to anything, literally, to be honest. And when I went, and he gave me a talk on exactly what needs to be done. And it's sort of like preparations, like, okay, this is about to hit us, right? And I was like, so I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, you know what, this is something that's going to hit us hard. So might as well just start working on something.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are two ways to go about it. And I talked to Fussy about it as well. And Fussy does, consultancy work here and there and stuff as well and everything. And I've always been in touch with him as well. And I was talking to him as well. I said, look, man, I mean, this thing is haunting me. And we need to do something about this as well. And I was actually going to be doing something which would be something like what the basic messaging that you get to see, right? But then he was saying, like, I mean, do your own thing. I mean, whatever. And he says that if you are interested, I mean, I have an idea. If you can make something out of it, why not? So he gave me the idea of Pabo Badmash.
ګډه شوې ده چې په میلیونو خلک دي په سختۍ کې بندیوان دي او د دې وبا نوم دی کرونا وایرس. د دې وبا په تورو تیارو کې معلومیږي داسې چې یو کس د دې خطرې لاس نیولو راغلی دی او د هغه نوم دی د پبو بدماش.
کرونا ته نور زما خلک نشي بازابولی، ستا مرګ زما په لاسونو لیکلی دی.
لالا دا والا زما بیټ او دا لاس خپې پې مات کا.
چلغوزیه نه، دا د دې بیټ خبرې نه دي.
لالا دا والا زما لیسندار 30 بور
نه
راره ملوار دی جاپاني توره جوړه کړې ده.
نه
دا د 2013 ماډل راکټ لانچر دی.
نه چپ شئ ټول. د دې کرونا دپاره زما د ګناهګار لاسونه هم کافي دي. صابون زما قانون. شل سیکنډ وشو.
And I instantly I said, you know what, this is one of the most fascinating things ever. And I love this sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I said, you know what, maine kaha ki yaar, and he said if you can make it something into, and the good thing about that is what I keep on telling everyone is why they sort of worked is that we just focused on one core thing out of all the prevention methods, which was basically washing hands. There's so many, right? One is washing your hands with soap. So that sort of worked. And that was also Fuzzy's stance as well. One message at a time. Yeah. So that was basically the whole stance. Just create a character in Pabo Badmash. He comes in, he battles coronavirus by washing his hands first. And you are witnessing him wash his hands for 20 seconds. You can't do anything. You have to see him. और वो भी जो ना फील्ड में बैठा होता है वो नहीं है तो जिस तरह बैठते हैं लोग ना हाँ लोटे के साथ ना तो बैठते हैं. So you have to, that is the sort of thing.
Yeah. And okay, so Fussy was involved because I am a huge fan of comedy in multiple variants, and these are very informative PSAs, and it's a very serious issue. Sab theek hai, but I love them because of how funny they are. And jo usme, and it's not just that it's acha wo haath dho raha hai. This is these very small things, including the haath dhona, or including how someone's about to do something wrong and someone just breaks through his door and like just stop. And it's like a small thing, but it's so epic in terms of like the importance given to it. So acha to Faiz Zaka is involved in this process shuru se.
Yeah, so he basically drafted out the concept ki yaar ki this is the concept and this is the strategy and stuff as well. I said okay, sure, because he's heavy on communications and strategies there.
Okay,
so what I did was, and then I added and directed the whole piece and sort of like, okay, this is how what the thing is going to be like and swell and everything. Now you have to realize that this whole piece was done during lockdown. So our hands were tight. Kya karna and stuff as well, right? So uske saath I approached my mentor, my guru, Sarmat Ghafoor. Okay, he was saying doing the music for it. He says, why don't can I do the voiceover for this?
Yeah.
I said, man, sure, but to be honest, man, this is a badmash and you're like the nicest guy I know. Like if you look at Sarmad, right? Sarmad is the most nicest guy on the planet.
He doesn't look like a badmash. Yeah.
He doesn't look like a badmash and he doesn't sound like a badmash. I'll be honest with you, man. Let me give it a try. So he sent me a file. He processed the whole thing. Corona! Yaar, I jumped out of my seat. Yes, that's it. That's my Pabo Badmash. I was laughing for an hour. I mean, like, okay, you know what this is.
And
this
it
is
has like a lot of different vibes, like the the animation and like how it focuses on movements might have some like anime kind of vibes. The dialogue delivery has like Pakistani film sort of energy to it.
Yeah.
And like we dream team coming back together, you Fasi Sarmad, that really it really worked to get well. What I was wondering, my next question was, you said one message at a time. So the first video was about washing hands. Second video was not about having large congregations like a shadi. Usme bhi, when the girl's mom is going crazy.
نه بابا واده به زه اون صرف پلوشې سره کوم بل چا سره نه کوم خو دا د وبا روزي دي په غونډه دنیا کې وبا خوره ده
خدای چې ته رالې خدای ته وګوره د خلک پویه کا
دا د ګڼې وخت نه دی نه دا د ودونو وخت
بکواس کوي ته په ولید کې ځان د به میم سه بکتلی
لږ سوچو کې
کہ یہ اس لڑکے کا چکر چل رہا ہے. I was like on the floor laughing because just that small thing, her being the super dramatic Pakistani mother-in-law to be, that was like the best point of that episode. And obviously फिर वो 2 साल जब उसकी शादी delay हो गई तो he's like, I came in with like a good idea but this is going too far. Highlights of the whole thing. But did you have the idea there's going to be multiple videos, one message each initially? Yeah, did that formulate a bit later?
Yeah, we said okay, so the first one was something from our side. Like we dived in and not thinking yaar ke next one kab aayega kab nahi aayega, but the first one when I made as well, and then Taimur Saab and everyone sort of just shared it and it just went global and stuff, right? So we said we shouldn't stop right over here as well. So the second one was picked up by the EU in Pakistan. So they were our primary sponsors and they sort of overtook them. And that also was an idea that Fasi had as well, the one that we tackle on social distancing. In fact, that was one idea which we had beforehand, before this as well. So he sort of developed that and we worked and we sort of sold him the idea. He said, we know what we're doing. Ye karo bhai. So they sort of took on that idea as well. Now the question remains whether it's the third one. Now I can say right now, and I can you're the first one that I'm disclosing this to, is that there's a third one on the way. So amazing. Yes, you're the very first person. Amazing, so the very first person, and I hope because I'm working and to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, this since lockdown, this has been the busiest time of my life because I've been working 18 hours a day on these videos. So, and literally,
are you doing this all yourself? Like, just the animation is all you?
So, animation, Joe, predominantly myself. Yes, I have a little bit of assistance from 1-2 people here and there as well, and everything in terms of backgrounds. Backgrounds, people help me out with that as well. The first one was done by my editor, Abu Bakr Siddiq. And the second one is by this talented illustrator in Karachi called Syed Samad Rizvi. He's in Karachi. Okay. So he did the illustrations, background illustrations. Samad is tackling the music production as well as the voiceover production. For the previous one, it was Saad Hayat from the band Miraj.
Yes.
So he handled everything under lockdown and got all of the actors as well, and that also do during lockdown, which I'm super thankful to everyone who sort of did an amazing job. So the third one is out right now, and I hope and that's centered around Eid messaging.
The third one's out.
No, the third one is in production right now. So, okay. And I hope I can make it till Eid because abhi kya 10 din reh gaye kitne din nahi 2 hafte reh gaye, right? So 2 hafte se pehle banana hai, so let's see, dekhte hain.
Okay. Yep. Well, this comes out on, I think it was what did I say? It's the 18th. 18th? Yeah. So if it comes
after
out
a couple of days So after a couple of days, but just want to let everyone know that I've been working and if I survive till then. So let's see, dekhte hain. Yep.
Okay, that's amazing.
Because these are scary times. These are scary times, and just it's something from our side to say, we need to be very mindful of everything. And I think it's really
good that the messaging is not like doom and gloom and agar nahi kiya to mar jaoge. It has like the humorous side to it, which makes it easier to convey the message and also the severity without just stressing people out even more than they might be already.
But I just hope that people now also take this seriously as well. I know it's a comedy thing and stuff as well, but I just also hope I mean, we've tried our level best कि हम जितने villages में भी हम फैला सकें फैलाएं. But I hope that people take one seriously.
And also multiple
I know because
languages.
one thing which also is, I don't know whether it's a concern or, but we asked the yaar, what is the one thing that you remember from the first one? And the first one में जो हर किसी का जो favorite अभी तक is जो बंदा आ जाता है शकीला मकवा.
لا اسمح لموضعي.
शकीला मकवा.
Yes. बंदा जो आ जाता है. So that is like okay, and that was something which I quickly wrote. I said, like, you know, this would be a good instance to actually have someone के नाक डाल रहा है. शकीला मकवा तो पीछे आ जाता है. So you know, so that's
But hopefully people are retaining like the theme or the message as well.
Hopefully, yeah.
Thank you. Moving on, I know iftar ka bhi time hone ja raha hai, so I'll just get the questions in out of the way. There are questions we asked people who might know you and people who you might know. Questions. One of them is one of the people on the podcast team is a friend of ours by the name of Sarkhail. He's one of the usual podcast crew. And Sarkhail ka bada pakka dost and someone who I've had the pleasure of meeting is Khushal. Khushal Khan, who is now in the UK.
Khushal.
Yeah. He is a legendary personality, both in real life and also.
Khushal is a legend. Khushal, if you're listening to this, you are a legend. हमारे circles में legend है.
He had some very amazing questions. One of them, he was asking about the origin of Pabbi Badmash, and we've talked about that. But then,
but I'll answer it again. No worries.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the other question. Well, let's go one by one. Pabbi Badmash.
Okay. Origin of Pabbi Badmash that generally comes totally from it's Fasi's idea as well, and he was always of the opinion कि Pabbi is a village. Near Charsada, and he was always of the opinion कि यार पबी में कोई बदमाश होती नहीं है. So let's just make a. I don't know whether that's true or not, but अच्छा इस पे भी हमने जो है ना, we had a bit of a backlash on this as well because you're using the word badmash, right? So for a particular channel, they had asked us कि यार we're going to run this, but we can't use the word badmash in it. So we just changed it to Pahalwan, Pabbi ka Pahalwan and stuff, right?
Okay.
So that was something as well. But that's Fasi's idea, and it sort of originates from there.
Then, what's this about him being the king of unfinished projects? I don't know what Khushal's
that was a T-shirt I used to wear a long time back, and that's what I used to be known for back then, because I would take up a lot of projects and I would hand them over late. And I'm sorry to whoever I've done this publicly. मैं apologize कर रहा हूँ सब लोगों को.
बहुत ही मतलब personal होते जा रहे हैं खुशाल. And then he had a question which was a question about a question. He said, I should ask you, let me just say, make sure I'm reading this right. What's your plan? Is this something that you recognize? He said, what's your plan? Just asking.
कितना बड़ा कुत्ता है यार, कितना बड़ा कुत्ता है.
Okay.
खुशाल तुम्हारे साथ तो मैं देखूंगा जब मैं आऊंगा. अच्छा. What's your plan is okay, I'll send you the video for this when I get the chance. That's a side joke.
Okay. Sure.
it's a story in itself. वो मैं perfectly बताऊंगा.
I'm glad it was conveyed, the question. Uske alawa, then obviously we asked the guy who's the biggest inspiration for our show. Obviously, he knows you as well, Fasi Zaka himself. He brought something in mind where he was saying, okay, I don't know if this is in the past or if it's still the case, but you were a huge fan or are a huge fan of the Spice Girls.
That's true. Fasi said this?
Yeah. What is that?
ये तो खुशहाल से बड़ा कुत्ता निकला यार.
Yeah, I asked him, I told him I'm doing an interview with Zeeshan Parwez, you know him. I didn't know he was like your cousin. I knew you guys were friends. And koi sawal, he sent me paragraphs of things to ask. So I'm going to ask you a few of those. But Spice Girls ka kya scene hai?
Spice Girls, I was a fan. I thought their first two albums were really great. Good production. I think I briefly had a crush on one of the Spice Girls as well.
I think that's pretty common for that.
What was that? What was the girl's name? I even forgot her name.
Do you remember her?
Jerry Halliwell. Jerry Halliwell.
Okay. Was she Ginger Spice?
Ginger Spice. Yes.
Okay. मैं तो उनके ऑफिशियल टाइटल से जानता हूँ सिर्फ उनको.
ओए
Ginger, sporty, scary, baby and posh. हाँ, posh को फिर हमारे खानदान बेकहम खानदान जो डेविड बेकहम जो पाकिस्तानी सुपरस्टार. अच्छा, फिर उसके बाद there is that one specific dialogue which we'll put the video in, but there's a dialogue from Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels.
But just let me tell you one thing. If the milk turns out to be sour, I ain't the kind of pussy to drink it. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
यार ये कितना बड़ा कुत्ता है.
Yeah, what I said to him was, I don't know what this means. And he said, I don't think anyone does, but it used to be one of your favorite lines.
That used to be one of my favorite lines, yes. Because we both loved Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah.
Quite a lot. So this line would leave us in stitches, like literally. यार कि ये कहाँ से ये आ गया है ये Guy Pearce. नहीं Guy Pearce नहीं, Guy Ritchie.
Guy Ritchie, yeah. Guy Pearce is...
Guy Pearce तो कोई वो Australian.
Yeah. But it's also like there's so much focus on this guy as he's saying the line, as if पता नहीं क्या deep तरीन world shaking बात आने वाली है, and they're like इस बात का मतलब क्या हुआ? What does it mean? And then he says, do you know what I mean?
हाँ जी राम. ये Guy Ritchie के हमेशा ये characters होते थे ना कि हमेशा कोई ना कोई बात एक philosophical बात कर रहा होता था ना तो सारे चुप हो जाते. फिर उसके बाद फिर कोई फिर बात मार देता था.
My favorite thing about Guy Ritchie is all these movies that the UK gangster movies. What I always say about them is कि कोई 50-60 पाउंड चोरी हो जाते हैं और उसके पीछे 80 बंदे मर जाते हैं. It's a small issue or insane levels of violence. So apart from that, he's mentioned that you are amazing because of Fasi Zaga continuing in the whole file he maintains on you. He's saying that you are a phenomenal artist at mimicry. Who do you mimic? Is it like artists? Is it just people? Everyone?
Yeah, everyone, literally everyone.
Okay.
I think that's a lot of, and I'm not going to mimic. Please don't ask me to mimic anyone. But I think I've mimicked a lot of. I've done a lot of voices on our On the Fringe episodes. उनमें हम, if you remember back in the day, On the Fringe, sorry, in those days, जो है ना, there was a culture of time checks. बहुत आते थे उनमें. So sponsors जो है ना, they found out a way to sort of showcase their logos and stuff ना. हर 15 मिनट के बाद जो है ना, this time check is brought to you by now. तो हम जो है we would actually do something like हर 2 मिनट के बाद this time check is brought to you by Afzal Industries, the best industries in the world. तो 1-1.5 मिनट के बाद फिर से this time check is brought to you by Ashfaq sweaters. इस तरह की चीजें हम कर रहे होते थे, right? So ये चीजें बहुत होती थी. But mimic everyone है.
The more we talk about On the Fringe, the more like one thinks, yeah, how did they let this on the air? Like, how did a full channel let this go?
Yeah, I recently, and I have to thank Natasha Noorani for this, is recently when we went over there to LMM, so there was a segment on the Fringe. And we were so emotional because she said such wonderful things about us, about how the show impacted her and others as well, and other artists as well. So, मैं फसी को देख रहा हूँ, फसी मुझे देख रहे के हैं. ये क्या हो गया यार? तो हम literally I was about to कि यार, wow, thank you so much. That means a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's always hard because I guess हमारी industry is not as loud and ongoing or stable as perhaps you'd think of in the West. But yeah, it makes sense that it didn't get back to you, but the impact was just enormous amongst people. Because वही मेरे साथ के जो लोग थे उस वक्त music was a big thing, right? हर वो वाली बात थी, हर गली से एक बैंड निकल रहा है, जल आ रहा है, EP, RO, all these people. So everyone was watching Indus music and later on ARC TV all the time. And On the Fringe was just this thing that was so different from, by design clearly, from the polished set के अंदर proper makeup, lighting के साथ वाली चीजें. And it was consistently funny and it had all these people who we were fully fans of. So it was just perfectly positioned to just ingrain itself into our heads. And also it was great.
Thank you.
I mean, it would have been
Thank you
horrible
so
if it had all those elements and it was shit. but it was amazing.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And the last thing that Faisal wanted to mention was that you also do beatboxing. Ye please aap zara ek this is one of those living room uncle auntie talent shows ki beta karke dikhao. But is that something you've been into? It ties into your interest with electronic music.
Yeah, I'm a big avid listener of drum and bass. So drum and bass and jungle music, right? So you want me to do? यार क्या कर रहा हूँ मुझसे? अच्छा, hold on.
It's okay. What you can do is
ये microphone. Can you hear the microphone right now over here?
Yeah. Are you moving your face away from it?
Yeah.
Camera.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yep.
Wow. This is
I don't know how clear that was.
It was pretty clear. I got the drum and bass vibe for sure, but of all the things I expected from this interview, this was not the end.
क्या करवा रहे हो मुझसे ज़ालिम? क्या करवा रहे हो मुझसे?
Amazing. I think that's the end of it. That's the end of everything I had to take your time up with. Is there anything before we wrap up, before I stop recording? Is there anything you want to highlight? Have I missed anything important?
No, you haven't, man. Thank you so much for taking the time out to do all the research and all the work and making me feel emotional, because it's a trip down memory lane. So thank you so much for that. It's always.
I did forget something. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sajid and Zeeshan, I just read the last portion of my email.
Oh yes.
Yes. Thing. Sajid and is it breaking up? Can you hear me? Am I working?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Okay. Can you see me? Your video is frozen. Okay, it's back now.
I can see you.
Okay. Sajid and Zeeshan, back again. You mentioned also that you guys are working now. And when my wife found out, firstly, I was very casual about it. I was, post kar diya maine. Sunday ko Zeeshan Parwez ke saath interview hai. She comes out from the other room and she's like, why am I seeing this on Twitter? And why was I not told personally? Because she grew up in Islamabad and big fan of On the Fringe, Zeeshan.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank you
Sajid
so
and
much.
Zeeshan, everything. So she also specifically wanted me to say this because she's a big fan. So,
thank you.
And also, what's happening with Sajid and Zeeshan?
So, we were supposed to release something a month back. The problem is I actually got sidetracked with another production. It's a web series that I'm currently directing nowadays. It'll be out later on this year. But what happens is we should be releasing a music video, not like a full-on music video, but something which we're doing in lockdown pretty soon, inshallah ta'ala, in about a month's time from now, or maybe sooner than that. So the first couple of songs are ready, and so we've recorded a bunch of them, and it just now falls on me because I'm actually doing the production heavy work. So I should try to do that as soon as possible. I have a couple of things on my plate, but the thing is, the first track should be out in approximately 3 to 4 weeks from now, and the other ones will follow as is.
And are we looking at like an album?
Yep, this will be our third album.
Zabardast. Okay.
Yep.
And is it coming out in 2021? It's a weird year to be making deadline promises, but are you hoping?
I don't know. I mean, the album culture, I still am old school about album releases and stuff as well, but it's now gone towards, it's releasing one single at a time. So we're just doing that model right now, just one track at a time. And but there's quite a bunch of stuff that Sajid has written. I should say this, now that we're talking about this, the one thing which I always, of all the things that I've done, there's one thing which I've actually I keep on revisiting to this day, and which never got the attention I think it deserved and stuff as well. And it's still, I think it's very much close to my heart, very, very close to my heart, is our second album, which is Sajid Zeeshan's second album. And that's The Harvest, which is something which took a lot of energy from us. And we did it in such difficult times, but because of the circumstances at that time, how things were in the country, how record labels were not accepting that because, कहते यार हालात ठीक हो जाएंगे जब बॉम्ब खत्म हो जाएंगे बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट खत्म हो जाएंगे फिर हम रिलीज करेंगे then we released it one by one on Reverb Nation or something. It just sort of fizzled out. We're trying to put that out with this new latest single release on our YouTube channel so that it just sort of does it comes back again. But that's something which I still feel very, very, emotional about as well. That second album, because that was the point where basically me and Sajid sort of split up and we went our separate ways to Canada as well. And that's also a way of sort of me departing from Peshawar as well. And halat bhi is tarah ke the that we made it, during dismal times. So that was a very heavy loaded album. So, and I hope that people get to listen to that again.
Yeah. Okay. Everyone watching, everyone who's stayed through this till now, this very long interview, but go listen to it as soon as we're done. Second album, pehle, then first album. But
thank you,
Zeeshan, thank you very much for taking the time. You keep saying that we're being very nice, but it's like more deserved than you can imagine. And
thank you so much, Thank you very much.
It's very cool, everything that you've done, and you're a huge inspiration to people. Patani, you might not know it, and that's fine. But it's just that there is good that is done because of you. Thank you for coming. Is there anything? Usually, you're Zeeshan Parwez, so people know where to find you. But usually we say, "Acha, do you have like an Instagram handle or a Twitter account?" But
yeah, I'm on Instagram, on Twitter, Facebook. Yeah. Just message me, whatever. I'm here.
Oh! Someone did reply to one of the things. I don't know what they meant, but they were like, how does one do a collaboration with Zeeshan? And no further details. But take it.
Yeah, just people always direct message me and they send me songs and stuff as well and everything. Just reach out to me and stuff. And if there's anything I can do as well and everything, I'll definitely love to do something.
The other question that I'm just now remembering, someone was asking about your process. I think we've discussed a lot of things, a lot of processes in detail. But there is one question which I didn't ask you, which was the state of music industry in Pakistan, which we will keep for hopefully when I can convince you to come back, maybe with some other people as well.
Absolutely.
Zeeshan, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much, Ali. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much for everything. Thank you so much for having me over, man. Appreciate it, and stay safe, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Everyone, watch his PSAs. We're TBR Pod. Thank you for watching. We're going to stop recording. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.